This is a video about my dog Marci and my dog Matt, as well as the other pet friends, Celie, my son's dog, and Houston, my daughter's dog. There's quite a story with Marci. She actually came to the shelter in Rochester on late January 2010. She was left at the shelter with 6 little puppies, probably about a week old, and certainly not ready for adoption yet. So Marci and the puppies were isolated for a while until the end of February, maybe 1st of March, when the puppies were available for adoption. And of course, the puppies, all 6 of them, they were very cute, and they were adopted very early on, so certainly by end of February, early March. However, March came and went, and Marci was still at the shelter. I was experiencing a serious time of adjustment in my life, and to occupy my time, I volunteered at the shelter and, walked many of the dogs, particularly the larger dogs, the more aggressive dogs, and I walked Marci every day for a month or so. And as time passed, and of course Marci still wasn't adopted, I began to pick her up around 7 a.m. in the morning and take her home with me, go for walks, be in the yard, go to the park, and get her out of the shelter environment, which was nice but very stressful, particularly for larger dogs who are there for a long period of time. So the summer kind of came and went as well. We were in August, and Marci still was not adopted, so she had been at the shelter for over 8 months. And I began to foster her, where she was then able to stay with me full time, even overnight. But I, really was hoping that some nice person or family would find a forever home for her. But that really never happened. So one day, towards the end of August, the shelter called, where I had been volunteering, and they offered Marci to me, and at no charge, which was really an honor, because most of the time the shelters, they have to recoup their costs of neutering, spading, and the care that they give dogs so they can continue to operate. But they had elected to offer Marci to me for free, of which then I decided to adopt her as my dog, and it was really a blessing for both of us. And I don't know if I was more of a blessing to her or she was a blessing to me. She certainly was a comfort and a companion, and a loyal companion at a time where I really had felt alone. So she was definitely my dog, a real dog, and a loving dog, caring dog. People may not really believe this or understand this, but I believe it is true. Dogs certainly have a sixth sense. They are sensitive. They understand when a person or their keeper is sad or in time of need. And I can remember many, many times that Marci would climb on my chest and lay her head on her paws on my chest, is just a way to say that I'm here and it's going to be okay, which at the end of the day it was. Marci led a great life. She loved to go on the pontoon. At the time, as I lived at Castle Rock Lake in Wisconsin, we, along with Matt, another dog, actually a black lab who was my neighbor's at Castle Rock, who had needed to go to the nursing home and could no longer keep Matt. I actually volunteered to keep him as well, who was, about 13 or 14 years or 12 years at that time. So Marci and Matt and I, the 3 M's, kind of hung out together and were great companions and support of one another. Of course, some of the other dogs you see here is my son Sage's Australian Shepherd, Celie, and a little Chihuahua boxer mix, Houston, who is also, on all these dogs are just wonderful, wonderful dogs. And you can see I called them Marci, Matt, and Houston, the 3 amigos, because they would all get to the front of the pontoon and stick their heads through the door and sniff and smell and enjoy the sights. It was a great time had by all. And of course, throughout these pictures here, you can see that I'm capturing, just the great time we all had at the cabin, which was really a sanctuary of flowers, peace, and quiet for not just myself, but I think anybody that was close, near, or visited always commented on how peaceful it was, and I believe it was a divine sanctuary for healing for all of us at the time. Marci and Matt both went to Florida with me twice, spent the winters out of Wisconsin, which were brutal during those years. But they enjoyed going to the dog beaches at Venice Beach in Sarasota. They were great companions. And of course, throughout this, we're able to capture Berkeley when he was probably about 3 years old, and my dad, who passed away just a little over a year ago. It's just great to see him and my mom spending time with Berkeley. These are memories you're just never going to get back, and it's important that we capture them. So with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. It's done in memory of my dog Marci, Matt, and my dad, and all the other people who we love and miss and can't always be together. So with that, I'm going to sign off.